Hello everyone and welcome to the program. My name is Jeff, otherwise known as the Economic Prepper. Welcome once again here. I appreciate you spending the time with me. I try to keep things nice and short, real tidy, into 10 minutes or less, so I know you're busy, but thank you for taking the time to stop by, hear what I have to say. Today I'm going to talk about, what am I talking about? I've been talking about so many different things. I'm talking about Bitcoin adoption, okay? Bitcoin adoption, and I've heard this for so many years. I've been in Bitcoin for, I think this is like year 8 or 9. It's up there. But I've heard, like, one of the big things when I started is, like, we need to encourage adoption. We need people to get more involved in Bitcoin, get it adopted. How do we do that? How do we get people more involved? It's a good question, but the natural way that people, like, I look around at so many different things on Twitter and different areas, naysayers about Bitcoin. I like reading what they have to say because do they have a bad argument? Are they rehashing the same arguments we've heard time after time about Bitcoin consumes too much energy, or Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme, or it's only used for illegal activities, all that stuff. And I still see those same arguments time and time again. I see a lot of people that don't understand it, or they call it magic internet money, or it's going to zero, it's a Ponzi scheme. Whereas, I mean, honestly, this stuff is more of a Ponzi scheme than anything else because, you know, you could print a lot more of these, but you can only make so much Bitcoin. But most people don't take the time to educate themselves or talk to someone who's been in the space for a while and learn. But once you learn about Bitcoin, you realize that it's a difference maker. It's different. It's a change. It is a change to the monetary system because there's only so much of it. It's an asset. We know how much of Bitcoin there's ever going to be at any given time between now and the year 2140 because we have a mining schedule. We know that every 10 minutes right now we get 3.125 Bitcoin created, give or take a minute, right? We know it's 480 a day. It's because there's so many blocks. There's 6 blocks an hour, 24 hours. It's 144 blocks times 3 and change. It winds up, the math works out to be 450. I think it's 450 Bitcoin created a day from now until 2028. And then there'll be another halving again. It'll be a halving event in 2028. And then we'll go into the November election cycle in 2028. Then we go into a period of uncertainty as we get ready to install another leader in the U.S. Then that's just a 4-year cycle. The Bitcoin has a natural 4-year cycle because of that deflationary rate of how much Bitcoin gets. The halving, how much Bitcoin is created. So, but as far as promoting adoption, what you really need, people ask me all the time, how do you promote more adoption? How do you get more people involved in Bitcoin? You can't be a prophet in your own backyard or your own neighborhood. However that saying goes. You cannot apostolize. You can't preach about Bitcoin on your own street corner. People know you're the crazy guy. You're the crazy Bitcoin guy in your town, right? They will come to you at some point. They will come and ask you certain things, and they will often grab you, like pull you aside, get a one-on-one conversation, like, "Hey, tell me a little bit more about that Bitcoin." And that's fine. I'm more than happy to have that conversation. But as far as encouraging adoption or mass adoption, people have talked about, you know, do we have a strategic reserve coming at the federal level? Are states adopting it? Are ETFs enough? But the real way that you drive adoption is from the bottom up. You get more people encouraged to be a part of it, But the way that it works is that you have to create curiosity. Now, this is the way people learn about anything. And if you've seen how information gets disseminated in the last 5 years or suppressed, the best way to get people to learn about something is to get them curious about something. Why is it that this happened? Why is it that? Why is it that a gallon of gas is $4 now and it used to be $2? Same thing for a gallon of most anything. A gallon of iced tea, a gallon of milk. Why are eggs so costly? It's one thing to acknowledge that, yeah, prices are up, and then if people just throw up their hands and they're just like, that's the way it is, and they just move on, that's one thing. But if people start asking, why is that? Why? When they start asking why, they get curious to learn for themselves. And that's when you can give them a little bit of a breadcrumb. You can give them a little bit of taste. You can encourage them, say, okay, you're not happy about inflation. Why is the inflation? Why are prices going up? All right. And then you start to teach them like, hey, you know what? There are 80% more dollars in circulation now than there were 5 years ago. You think that might be a factor? And they're like, what? So now they're curious. So now they're going to they'll look at, give them one or two things just to get their mind moving, get their brain, the gears rolling, smoke coming out of their ears. And that's enough for them to maybe go do a little bit of homework for themselves. Say, hey, did what Jeff just tell me, is that right? Did all that currency get created in the last couple of years? Yes, it did. All right, they'll go and look it up. They'll look it up, and then in the course of looking things up, their curiosity will go up because rabbit holes will appear around. Right? They'll learn about who created this currency? What is the Federal Reserve? They'll look up the Federal Reserve. They may even go out and find the Creature of Jekyll Island and go read it. Or they'll read a summary of it, and they'll learn who, why can't I ever remember that author's name? Put it in the comments. Who wrote the Creature of Jekyll Island? I met him. He's a lovely man. I was going to say young man. He's not young anymore, but he's a lovely man. G. Edward Griffin. Thank you. G. Edward Griffin is his name. Great guy. He dug into all that, but you can't preach it to them. You can't show them. They have to learn for themselves. You have to encourage their natural curiosity. Same thing about why are they giving me a donut to put this in my arm? When they start to ask questions, like, why do I still have to wear a mask? Why do I still have to do this? Why are they telling me to do this? What is the reason behind this? Get them to go and do their own homework. Why does what used to cost this now cost this? Why is that happening? Why did we have money that used to have silver and now we don't? Get them to ask naturally inquisitive questions. And when they are curious, they will teach themselves. And I'll leave you with this. And I read all your comments. Please leave them down below. Do the like and subscribe. Really helps me out. But I'll leave you with this thought. It's very hard for someone to admit that they're wrong. It's even harder for someone to admit that they're wrong to someone they know was right. So you may never hear from a friend that says, oh, that Bitcoin's garbage. That Bitcoin's junk. But they may learn about it later on. Or they may come up to you like years later and say, you were right. And I got some Bitcoin a while back. But when they turn that corner, the last thing, they fear that you're going to make fun of them or point out to them their errors. Clearly, you don't want to do that. But I always leave it with people, hey, if you're curious about Bitcoin and want to know more, just reach out to me whenever. And just leave it at that. But leave them a nugget to go like, what is the Federal Reserve? Why is it that gas is $4 a gallon? It used to be $2, and there's nothing different than the gas. Same with milk, same with gallon of anything. Make them naturally curious. Make them inquisitive. Let them do their own research. Encourage that. And be there to support them or answer questions. But they have to ask the questions. They have to be naturally curious. That's how adoption happens. The adoption happens when people are inquisitive and they ask the questions for themselves. They do their own homework. They do their own research. Then they become critical thinkers again, which we have lost for the last generation. And unfortunately, hopefully that comes back. But that's how we get to mass adoption. So those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put a comment down below. I'll read them all, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.